The fighting type has some of the toughest Chad Pokémon in the entire franchise, so I wanted to test if it was possible to beat Pokémon Scarlet using only fighting type Pokémon. With a stack of extra rules on top to make this challenge way harder, could we become Paldean champions? Well, let's find out. To start, I needed a swole fighting type trainer that oozes with Sigma energy. Mr. Fister. Just look at these bulging muscles. Good morning, Mr. Fister. Your breakfast is ready. Wait, who are you? And where am I? That stupid holy pony Arceus was meant to send me home. I swear I'll get my revenge on that cow. Alright, Mr. Fister, which starter Pokemon would you like? Well, the green one only fights off DeviantArt, and the red one's too chunky to fist anything. So I'll take the duck. And if it fails, at least I'll get some good protein. With our new duck secured, now our journey can begin. Paldea has an amazing variety of awesome fighting type Pokemon, so let me know in the comments which of them is your favorite. And if it's Crabominable, please seek help immediately. Right now, Mr. Fister has a problem. See, Quaxly doesn't actually become a flamboyant fighting type until much later on, so we needed to hunt for a real fighting type partner. But Arceus must have been smiling upon us as we were about to get insanely lucky, because Arven just gives us Koraidon's Pokeball. Not only do we have our first fighting type, it's also one of the most powerful Pokemon in the game. Except we can't even use Koraidon in battle. Not even once. I hate you, Arceus. So, our hunt continued, until just before Misagosa, we find a Pawmi, Paldea's Pikachu imposter. It's a cute electric rat, but only gets a fighting type when it evolves. Great. Okay, surely our next encounter will be one that we can actually start using. A male Ralts? Are you kidding me? Look, all my homies love Gallade. I just want an actual fighting type. With our Baron Brawler options, right before Misagosa, Nemona forces us into a battle. And since we don't have any usable Pokemon, Mr. Fister quickly becomes Mr. Fisty, as Nemona mercilessly gives us the electric chair. Hey, that's assault. I'll have you arrested. By who? There's no police force in this region, idiot. Just you wait until I get some fighting Fisters on my team. And our first fighter wasn't far off. After we're given our 3 quests to conquer Paldea, now we can explore Paldea and finally find our first brawler, Makuhita. He's a little less punchy and a bit more doughy, but I'll take whatever I can get, so this beefy Chungus is now on the team. Next up, we also find a Mankey. Ash Ketchum's ape is one of my favorite characters in the anime, and while Primeape is an okay Pokemon, I can't wait for our ape to escape this life and reach its final form. After also catching an over-leveled Riolu, as well as a literally useless Metatite, it was time to make our way towards the first gym of Cortondo. The gym challenge requires us to roll an olive, but Mr. Fister is such a Chad that he only needs one punch to crush the course. This clears us to challenge the gym leader, and this one could be tricky. Fun fact, Bug and Fighting are the only 2 types in Pokemon that actually resist each other, which doesn't really make much sense, since our fists could easily pound some puny bugs. On top of that, Katie has 3 Pokemon, meaning our duo of a chubby punching bag and a fuzzy monkey are outmatched. Except Mr. Fister had a plan, and that plan involves a new team member, as there's one more encounter that we can get at this point in the game. Flamigo. Yep, somehow this derpy pink bird is actually a fighting type. But it gets better because our new amigo is also a flying type, and this is bad news for any Katie fans out there, because it only takes a single wing attack to one-shot both her Nimble and Tarantula. While her Teddiursa does last a little longer, we double-kick that cute cub into the grave, giving us a very easy win for the first gym badge. Flamigo absolutely crushed that battle, and I had no worries going into the next fight against the Crab King himself. While Vice Grips from the Crustacean do massive damage, so do Force Palms from our chubby Makuhita. This makes it very clean for us to smash the Rocky Crab into oblivion. We did it, Mr. Fister! Awesome! And now for the best part, licking Clorf's rocky remains. What? No, that's so weird. So weird, but so delicious. Despite the slow start, we had some momentum from the last 2 battles, and things would not slow down as we made our way to Artisan Town. The local gym leader, Brassius, uses grass types, which gave me some strong deja vu, as our pink flying type prize fighter could smell blood on the battlefield. Flamigo crushes the first victim in one shot, and the poor Smoliv knows exactly what's coming next. Last is Brassius' ace Sudowoodo, but how could this thing expect to box with Flamigo when its hands are literally just balls? With a second wing attack, we deflower Brassius' ace, giving us another easy badge and another body in Flamigo's kill count. Mr. Fister and his mercenaries were crushing the challenge so far. However, here is where the good times start to break, because next in line is the Flying Titan Bombardier. Flying is one of fighting's biggest weaknesses, but we have to try and beat this oversized goose. So, after Mr. Fister furiously licked every boulder on the mountain, we were ready to square off, and got utterly destroyed. Our bird brawler had been dominant so far, but all it took was 2 hits to pluck Flamigo raw. At least we have our monkey. At least we had our monkey. Makuhita fell soon after, and it was total devastation from the foulest bird on this side of Paldea. None of our current team can take it on without fainting immediately. So what can we do? Well, with our new level cap, we can reintroduce one of our bench warmers back onto the roster. By training up Pawmi to level 18, it evolves into Pawmo, the Pokemon where Game Freak dared to ask, what if we made Pawmi, but long? But Mr. Fister wasn't done yet. By sprinting up and down the hills of Paldea, Pawmo evolves once more into its final stage, Pawmo, the Pokemon where Game Freak dared to ask, what if we made Pawmi, but long and hairy? Not only are the stat boosts from these evolutions insane, but our new electric fighting typing is an incredible combo for covering our flying type weakness. We were charged up heading back up the mountain for round 2, and this time things would be different. A wing attack still does huge damage before we hit Bombardier with the Uwu Nuzzle. Not only does this do decent chip damage, but it also paralyzes the Titan. This allows us to outspeed and hit an arm thrust while Bombardier stays fully paralyzed. Although our arm thrust only hits twice this time, meaning we just fall short. Pawmot goes down, but it's done its job, as this clears us to bring out our own bird, with Flamigo finishing the job. It was a bit of a struggle, but with that, we had finally conquered the second Titan. Regardless, it shows that our frail fighting types are gonna have some struggles in this challenge. My Mabastiff isn't eating much anymore. You should try having it lick some delicious rocks. What is it with you and rocks, you weirdo? The next challenge for Mr. Fister is the first Team Star boss, Gyakumo. In other runs, this battle has been an absolute nightmare, but Mr. Fister is an expert in demolishing dark types. I see you took care of the guards. Yep, they didn't stand a chance against my giant fists. This paved the way for Team Star to bring out their big bad boss. Gyakumo opens with a Pawniard, who is immediately sent to the Shadow Realm by an arm thrust from Pawmot. This summons the demonic Automobile. After Revavroom hits us with a metal sound, Pawmot clutches up with a 5-shot arm thrust doing big damage. To reset the stat drop, we switch into Mankey, who takes a Swift, before countering with a huge low kick. One more Swift from our monkey puts Revavroom on the brink of death, allowing our chubby Makuhita to bounce on in, with one last Force Palm putting the brakes on Revavroom. That gives us a dominant win against one of the hardest early game fights. With 2 more wins under our belt, Mr. Fister was feeling dominant. 1 like equals 1 extra inch of muscle on our swole protagonist. The next stop is the Electric City of Lavincia. Wow, these targeted ads are really getting crazy. Now there's an ad that's actually good. Our sponsor, Honkai Impact 3rd, the incredible free-to-play RPG where you'll collect Valkyries and use their unique attacks in battle. The combat is gorgeous, and this game is always packed with new content. They just released the exciting version 6.6 update, adding even more into this action-packed game, like a brand new story chapter which takes the plot to the next level. It also introduces a new combat system, Inscribed Whispers. This lets you wield the power of 4 different attributes, each having their own skills and visual effects for you to discover. There's also a new character, Hair. Her battlesuit, Dreamweaver, has 2 sweet forms, with a combat style that is very elegant and has an incredibly cool looking design. The new event, Terrori's Magical Quest, is another new feature of this update, where you can earn a bunch of extra in-game rewards simply by playing a fun gem matching game. On top of that, there's also the Merry Market event, where players take part in supply events to unlock new outfits for a variety of characters. There's always new content in Honkai Impact 3rd, so start playing this awesome RPG today for free by clicking my link in the description. And if you use this gift code, you'll get a huge stack of bonus loot in-game to give you a head start. But it's only for a limited time, so be sure to download Honkai Impact 3rd on one of these platforms today. Before we can take on the gym leader, we have to get through our rival, Nemona. After being absolutely embarrassed by her Pawmi back in Misagoza, this time it was personal. She's got a new Rocky Doggy, but the poor puppy is kicked into the Shadow Realm by our deadly pink bird. Next is the real threat, Pawmi, but we double kick it to the grave in just one shot. Last is Nemonia's Crocalor, but this Pokemon is dangerous. A Terra Boosted Incinerate does huge damage, while our kick barely tickles the Croc. Flamigo soon goes down, so we go with our chubby Makuhita. And its chubbiness isn't just for show, since its thick fat ability helps it to tank Incinerates. We trade blows, but it's still not enough as our chubby champ also goes down. Next is Pawmot, and Arm Thrust continues to chip away at Crocalor's health, but an Incinerate almost knocks out our Rodent in one shot. As long as we hit more than twice with Arm Thrust, we should get the kill. So, of course, we only hit twice, and this demonic Croc brings its kill count to 3. We were down to our final Pokemon. Thankfully for us, last is our resident monkey, and one last low kick is enough to finally topple the fiery menace. That gives us the win, but my god, Nemona almost wiped us out. Anyway, this clears us to face Iono, and she could be a real problem. Her Chunky Frog and Ace Miss Magius are fully evolved, so if we want to stand any chance, our team is going to need a serious power boost, and that will involve yet another team member coming in off the bench. Because at level 20, Ralts can evolve into Curlia, who still isn't a fighting type, but after traveling all the way through the desert, we're able to pick up this Dawnstone. And this is important because the Dawnstone prevents our Curlia from becoming waifu bait and instead evolves it into the awesome psychic fighter, Gallade, the best and only Pokemon with that type combination. On top of that, our chubby Makuhita can now also evolve into the beefy Chad Pokemon, Hariyama. With these upgrades, now it was time to take on Iono. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Well, that was fun. Hope this doesn't come as too much of a surprise, but you're being broadcast to the world right now. Oh my god. Mum, are you out there? It's me, Mr. Fister. I hope Mr. Fister Sr. and Pappy Grandfister are well. I will find you. Anyway, with our trio of brawlers and Pet Monkey, it was time to take on the Stream Queen, Iono. She leads with a derpy flying type, so I go with Pawmot, and a single spark can fry that Turbo Chicken in one shot. This then brings out Bellybolt, who would be a problem if not for the fact that Pawmot learns Dig. This does big damage to the friend-shaped frog, letting us take it down with a second Dig. After Luxio's Intimidate nerfs our attack, I switch into Hariyama. Spark does moderate damage, but I know I can survive another, so I take a turn to boost my stats with Bulk Up, meaning that a single Force Palm finishes Luxio on the following turn. This leaves only Miss Magius, and this thing is a nightmare. It's fast, strong, has no weaknesses, and can be a total troll with Confuse Ray. One of these on the next turn confuses our sumo wrestler, but Hariyama clutches up with a Force Palm doing over half. And then I had an idea. Step 1, switch into our monkey and send it to the slaughter. Hopefully that won't anger it too much. But after it's taken out, we can switch back into Hariyama and a fake out nearly cleans up the fight. So with the assist from Pawmot, one more fake out can outspeed and crush the electric ghost, giving us badge number 3. This run started rough, but now we've got some really strong fighting types at our disposal. Time to celebrate with a delicious sandwich. Gotta make sure we've got our protein though. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and boom! Perfect. Isn't this the most delicious sandwich you've ever laid eyes on? That's a tasty Mr. Fister original for sure. Wait, are you that kid who declared war on Team Star? No, I'm not just that kid. Call me Mr. Fister. And you're gonna learn how I got that name. I see you took care of the Team Star grunt. Yep. He won't be walking for the next few years. This clears us to take on our next target, Mela's fire types. At this point, we don't really have an answer for fire types, but don't worry, Mr. Fister has a plan. Alright Quaxley, it's your time to shine. Go forth and take out Mela. Okay, looks like I'll need a new plan. Despite only having 2 Pokemon, Mela is no pushover, so we needed to bring our A-game. While Gallade can outlast Torkoal comfortably, Mela's Starmobile is the real threat here, as Blazing Torque can decimate both our Gallade as well as Pawmot. Thankfully, we still have our Angry Monkey. At least, until Mankey was hit by Blazing Torque, gets burned, misses its cross-chop, then dies on the next turn. What an idiot. How embarrassing. While Flamigo can finally bring Revavroom to half health, it too falls, leaving us with only our chunky champion, Hariyama. It was looking grim, but it's here where our boy clutches up. if we want any chance of winning, we need an even bulkier boy. So I bulk up to increase both our attack and defense. We're then hit by Blazing Torque, and thankfully dodge the 30% chance to burn. After boosting with a second bulk up, now it was time for Hariyama's counterattack. A third Blazing Torque still doesn't get the burn, thank you Lord Helix, before a supercharged Force Palm can finally take out Mella's Starmobile, clutching up on the car for a huge win. Our Hariyama went absolutely insane there. 1 like equals 1 meaty sandwich for our tanky Titan. After that victory, we can head straight to the next gym in Casca Rafa. That is, until Kofu sees Mr. Fista's threatening physique and nopes right out of there. While tracking him down, along the way we can find some new team members. First of all, we find a herd of Tauros ready to stampede at any moment. And while Paldean Tauros is a perfectly capable fighter in its own right, it's this one that I want, because this Tauros is a Blaze form Tauros, giving it a secondary fire typing. This Pokemon is incredibly fast and strong, making it a great addition to our collection of brawlers. On top of that, our little monkey finally snapped, evolving into an enraged Primate. It's good, but I want to see it even angrier. Eventually, we catch up to Kofu, who wants us to buy him some suspicious-looking substance at the black market. Sorry, Kofu, Mr. Fista is off the gas. He got this physique squeaky clean, thank you very much. Before taking on the roided Unibrow, there was one more team member to collect. In the nearby province, we're able to catch ourselves a Shroomish. In its current form, asking it to punch anything feels like bullying, but at its current level, it can immediately evolve into the fungus fighter Breloom. And our new mushroom would be teaming up with Pawmot to end Kofu's whole career. His Veluza is immediately victimized by Wild Charge, a 90 base power electric move that annihilates the poor fish in one shot. Wugtrio is also Wild Charged into oblivion, leaving Kofu with just his goofy Crabominable. A third Wild Charge does huge damage, but just misses out on the KO as Pawmot falls to its very own recoil damage. Kofu then hypes up an epic move, but there's nothing on the field, Kofu. Also, why are your eyes red? From here, Breloom can quickly finish off Kofu's crab, meaning we're halfway through the gym challenge. Wow, Mr. Fista, your Breloom is really cool. Do you mind if I, borrow him for a couple of hours? You stay the hell away from my magic mushroom. That fight was pretty straightforward, but our next one is a much tougher prospect, as we have to take on Atticus of Team Star. Poison is one of our worst matchups, but you know that Mr. Fista has a plan, and this one involves yet another new team member. Because after slapping our little Riolu with a soapy sponge, this upped its friendship enough to evolve into Lucario, one of my favorite fighting types and an absolute beast with its steel typing, which, importantly for this fight, makes Lucario immune to poison, meaning things were about to get evil. Because Atticus's Skuntank can only hit me with Sucker Punch, so after setting up a substitute, we can safely spam the move Work Up, boosting our offensive stats, while Skuntank has to sit there like a useless idiot and just watch us cook. With Lucario boosted and jacked up, all it takes is a single Aura Sphere to wipe out Skuntank, as well as the Revavroom that follows. After a Metal Claw finishes Muck, Atticus was down to only the Starmobile. Metal Claw only does a third, before Revavroom breaks our substitute with Flame Charge. Changing plans, I switch around our Pokemon, gradually chipping away at Revavroom as our fighters gradually fall. Our team was crumbling, but fortunately, our hero Hariyama does it again. After comfortably surviving a Flame Charge, 2 knockoffs are all that we need to finish the monstrous engine. That's 2 points for our Sumo Wrestler, and 0 points to the Funky Engines. With Atticus defeated, our momentum was rolling, and things were about to get even crazier. Because with the new level cap, we can take our baby duck and evolve it all the way into its final form, Quaquaval, a flamboyant fighter with an awesome water fighting type combination. But Mr. Fista wasn't done yet, because now Primeape knows the move Rage Fist, and by using this move 20 times, Primeape literally dies from frustration, evolving into the ghoulish monstrosity known as Annihilape. Easily one of my favorite Paldean Pokemon. Ghost Fighting is such a cool type combo, giving our team a rainbow of different secondary typings. And our upgraded team was about to absolutely feast, because the next gym leader is Larry, who uses the puny and pathetic normal types. I mean, look at this matchup. This should be an absolute breeze for Mr. Fista, right? Well, things started very clean, with a cross chop from Annihilape splitting the Koala into 4 for an easy knockout. But next is the Dunsparce, and this is where the trouble began. My plan was to switch into Gallade and use Charm to nerf the Dunsparce, but what I didn't account for was being paralyzed by Glare. This puts a huge hole in my plans, as it means that Gallade can only land one charm before going down. With my plan failing miserably, I go into Quaquaval and try to set up a workup. However, Dunsparce lands another glare, and here is where RNGesus was about to go wild. Because, no joke, I was fully paralyzed for 3 turns in a row. With a crit from Dunsparce being the final spit in the face, Quaquaval also went down. After a cross chop from Annihilate does solid damage, of course, the Demonic Slug paralyzes my 3rd Pokemon. While we can finally take it out with assurance, we were in a horrible spot as Larry still has Staraptor, who is a big problem since it knows Aerial Ace. All I can do is click cross chop and hope. As expected, Staraptor goes for Aerial Ace, and Annihilate survives on just 11 HP. We're not paralyzed on the next turn, and this clutch gives us the tiniest window to take out Staraptor with a cross chop. No, please! We were meant to destroy this gym, but instead, Larry gets the win with a 2nd Aerial Ace. How embarrassing. Mr. Fister will never be able to show his face in Medali again. While things had been going smoothly in this challenge for a while, Mr. Fister had gotten cocky, and the enemy teams weren't letting up. So I needed bigger muscles, but on top of that, also a bigger brain. Round 2. This time, I've given Annihilate a little cherry berry snack, and this would make all the difference. Once again, Kamala goes down to a cross chop easily. Another one on the following turn doesn't kill the incoming Dunsparce, but thankfully it uses Glare, which we can instantly heal off with our berry. This means that one assurance on the next turn crushes Dunsparce, stopping the slug from any further RNG hacks. Last is Staraptor, and while an Aerial Ace does take half our HP, this time, one cross chop slaps that bird out of the sky, giving us some much needed revenge on Larry. That was a tough one, but now we've got our 5th badge. I'm just glad that Larry is done, and we never have to face him ever again. After our vicious ape absolutely annihilated Nemona, we were ready to move on. We have some really powerful fights coming up, so Mr. Fister needs to put on a black belt level performance from here on out. The first of these fights is up in the mountains of Montenevera. Rhyme and her ghost types are a tough matchup for our fighting types, since our punchers literally can't touch her ghosts. So I needed a good plan, and after a while, I settled on bringing these punching Ghostbusters to try and tackle Rhyme. The gym challenge involves us livening up the crowd, but I think I'm good. Hariyama, kill. The start of this double battle is clean. Our Gallade and Hariyama take some damage, but a Night Slash immediately decimates Banette, followed by a knockoff from Hariyama that breaks Mimikyu's disguise. But now things get tricky, because a quick Shadow Sneak finishes off our Gallade, and the dead doggy Houndstone uses Shadow Force, causing our Hariyama to fire nothing but blanks. Not ideal, but now it's big brain time. By setting up a substitute with Lucario, we eat the hit from Phantom Force before setting up a bulk up on Hariyama. I thought we were in a good spot until a critical hit from Houndstone leaves our Super Sumo on only 1 HP. A knockoff just falls short of finishing Houndstone as Lucario sets up another substitute. The crowd goes wild for Mr. Fister, cheering and screaming as they should, giving our Pokemon a speed boost. Although Hariyama quickly dies to a Shadow Sneak on the next turn as Lucario sets up a Swords Dance before having its substitute broken by Houndstone. We were in a tough spot as now it's a 2v3. We send in our final Pokemon Annihilate, and we were about to turn the turntables on Rhyme, as a boosted Metal Claw from Lucario decimates Mimikyu, followed by a swift Shadow Punch from our Ghosty Kong, which does the same to Houndstone. Now it was a 2v1, and surely things would be smooth from here, right? Well, Toxtricity went full hacker mode, hitting the 9% chance of paralyzing both of my Pokemon with Discharge. Ugh. Thankfully, Annihilate is an angry Chad, pushing through paralysis to land one final Rage Fist, finishing Toxtricity and giving us an incredibly dicey 6th gym badge. That was not easy, but our quartet of Fisters did well. You know what? Let's celebrate with another sandwich. Mr. Fister needs lots of protein, so I think 6 eggs is enough. And perfect. Isn't that the most delicious meal you've ever seen? With a stomach full of protein, we pushed onwards to the 4th Titan, Great Tusk. And I gotta say, Mr. Fister is a big fan of Great Tusk. So much so that when Arven interrupted our battle, I made sure to show my loyalty by taking out Arven's Scoville. After subduing the giant Fister with Breloom's Trippy Poison, we found the next Herba Mystica. Oh man, my Mabistiff doesn't seem to be getting much better. Hang on, Arven. Let me try feeding it one of my sandwiches. That might perk him up. See? He looks much better now. Stay away from me and my dog. Arvin might not want anything to do with us, but we 100% want everything to do with Great Tusk, because after defeating the Titan, you can find one in the desert, and since it's a fighting type, we can quickly catch it and add the Tusky fighter to our roster. The Mr. Fister dojo was looking incredibly powerful, but we have some insanely tough fights still on the horizon. Next in line should be the Psychic type gym leader Tulip, but instead, Mr. Fister has a trade offer for you. I take on the Ice type gym underleveled, and you like the video right now. Look, I don't make up the rules, that's just how it is. So, after nailing every single turn on the ski slalom, we stepped up underleveled to take on the snowboard king, Grusher. And it wasn't even close. Mr. Fister can crush ice cubes like they're nothing. By using a little substitute cheese, our Lucario is able to boost its stats like crazy with Calm Mind. It does get close, but from here, our supercharged Lucario can absolutely rip through every single one of Grusher's pathetic ice types with an onslaught of Aura Spheres. Quick and clean. That's our penultimate badge. But while that one was easy, the final gym battle is much worse, since Tulip uses big brain psychic types that have an enormous advantage over our fighters. Ugh, a Metacham? What an awful Pokemon. Who'd ever want something like that? I can hear your muscles screaming. Oh, no, that's not them. That's just Annihilate. Now it was time to face off against the final leader, Tulip and her psychic types. I expected this to be the hardest gym yet. Her team is packed with powerful Pokemon, so we'd need a cheesy plan to overcome her. I must say, you're a cute challenger, Mr. Fister. Please be my new mum. Fortunately for us, Tulip leads with a useless Giraffe. Farigiraf only knows physical moves, so by leading with Gallade and using Charm, we can nerf her attacks while safely setting up Swords Dance. One of these lets us pick up a quick KO onto both Farigiraf as well as the Gardevoir that follows. Although sadly, Espathra outspeeds us, connecting a huge Shadow Ball, and Gallade just hangs on. This clears our Knight in Shining Armor to land a Night Slash, crushing the oversized chicken before one more on the following turn is all it takes to execute Florges. It was a terrible matchup, but we just obliterated Tulip thanks to Gallade, proving once and for all who the real best Curlier evolution is. That earns us the final gym badge, and now we have some insane fights on the horizon against Team Star. The first of which is Ortega, who uses Fairies, one of the fighting type's biggest counters. Not only that, but Ortega has a stacked foursome of tanky, strong, and scary fairies that can bury our team into the mud. That being said, Mr. Fister still has a few fighting encounters left to help us out. The first of these is Krogunk, one of the slickest and coolest fighting types in all of Pokemon. Just look at how relaxed this guy is. What a king. We can then quickly evolve it into its final form, Toxicroak, and this poisonous spider is going to be a massive help against fairies. Next up, we can find one of my favorite fighting types, Howlucha. This Luchador is basically just a Giga Chad version of Flamigo with high attack and super speed. And lastly, I had to take care of some business. Alright, give me the Heracross or I'll start fisting. No, leave me alone. Fine. Alright, you'll have to do. With the Herculean bug now on our team, our roster had filled out nicely. This will be the group of fighters that we either beat the game with or crumble helplessly. Could Mr. Fister do it? Well, let's find out. Talk about disappointing. I was hoping for someone a little more beefed up. Look at me, Ortega. The only thing beefier than me is a pure-blooded Tauros. Ortega is going to be a challenge, but we have a well-rounded team to take him on. Azumarill hits us for big damage with Bounce, but a Sludge Bomb on the next turn takes out Peekaboo. Ortega retaliates with Dash Bun, who quickly gets the revenge kill onto Toxicroak with a Play Rough. With the score even, I pivot into a new plan, taking advantage of this puppy's low attack, nerfing it into the ground with charms from Gallade before going into Lucario. This lets me safely set up a substitute, followed by Swords Dance to charge Lucario up to maximum attack. Meteor Mash takes out the delicious-looking dog, followed by a Wigglytuff not long after that. And if you want to see something super satisfying, the Starmobile also falls in one single hit, crushing Ortega and his fairies into the mud. The final Titan matchup is next, and it involves some delicious sushi protein in the form of Tatsugiri and Dondozo. Thankfully, Hercules the Heracross made an enormous debut here, whipping the giant whale and its little sushi sidekick into submission without much trouble at all, giving us a clean win over the final Titan. You know what, Mr. Fister? For all your kind help, I made you something special. Wow, thanks so much, Arvin. I'll treasure it forever. Mr. Fister was cruising, crushing every obstacle in his path. But this next one's personal, because this was a battle between Mr. Fister and Paldea's fighting aficionado, who has a powerful team of brawlers. This was the showdown to determine the biggest Fister in Paldea. Thankfully though, I have a secret weapon in our Chadhal Lucha. With the help of its fighting flying type, our luchador went wild on Eri. After a swords dance on the first turn to boost our attack, we can simply spam acrobatics to one-shot literally every single Pokemon that Eri has. While Revavroom does survive a hit, a swift second shot on the following turn finishes the job, giving us a dominant win over Eri. With that, Mr. Fister had defeated all of the Team Star bosses, as well as establishing himself as Paldea's next top Fister. We beat Eri so badly that she cried afterwards. Talk about dominant. That cleans up all 18 badges in Paldea, and now it was time for the endgame, where the toughest battles in Paldea were waiting. But first, a little warm-up. Oh, Mabastiff, I'm so glad that you're well again. My beloved Mabastiff, what have you done? Thanks for the warm-up, Arvin. But Mr. Fister's reign of terror wasn't over yet. Yes, it's me. I'm the real boss of Team Star. You're shocked, aren't you? Penny, I was sent back to the past, met God, who I beat up, then got sent to this awful place. Nothing can shock me anymore. Great Tusk, rinse this loser with an earthquake. With Arvin and Penny defeated, now it was time for the main event. Mr. Fister now had to get through a gauntlet of the hardest trainers in all of Paldea. Alright, Mr. Fister, now tell me, which gym did you struggle with the most? Probably the Medali gym. Wait, isn't that Larry? You struggled with Larry? Shut up, it was a total fluke. Thank God we don't have to face that guy again. First of the Elite Four is Rika and her ground types. She leads with a goofy Whiscash, who sets up a future sight, but all I can see in its future is death, as our Heracross sets up a swords dance on turn 1 before unloading a whole mag of bullet seeds onto the fish, taking it out in just 2 shots. Camerupt is next, and this guy is bad news for Heracross, so I switch into Quaquaval. Despite being crippled by a yawn and future sight, our Quaquaval hits a hot Aqua Step all over Camerupt, crushing the camel in 1 shot. Next is Great Tusk's grandchild, who quickly cooks our duck. But this paves the way for Heracross to return, and it's here that our buggy brawler goes huge. A swords dance doubles our attack before Donphan misses a Stone Edge. This gives us a tiny window as Heracross can continue powering up before mowing down the rest of Rika's team with a string of powerful bullet seeds. Easy as. Wait, you're the next Elite Four member? Am I gonna get arrested for punching on with a kid? While Poppy Steel types can be trouble, for Mr. Fister, this is just another day in the office. An Earthquake from our Great Tusk takes out Copperaja, Aura Sphere cleans up Corviknight, Blaze Tauros squashes Bronzong and Magnezone, and the Queen of Bonk Tinkerton follows soon after. That one was an absolute bloodbath. Wait, no, hang on!
3,000 years later.
Anyway, after being released on parole, it was time for our next opponent. Oh God, no, not Larry, anyone but Larry. Don't buy that tired front. Behind the eyes of Larry is a cold, dead killer. And he's back with a new team of flying types. Now he has the upper hand, and Mr. Fister would have to go into full big brain mode to conquer this demigod. Larry's Tropius lead likes to set up the sun, so I send out our Giga Chadhal Lucha, who's so fast that it can even outspeed Tropius under harsh sunlight. This gives us a free turn to use Swords Dance before an Acrobatics on the next turn crushes the Banana Chin bird. Unfortunately, that's as far as how Lucha goes, as a close combat onto Staraptor just doesn't get the kill before our wrestler is decimated by Brave Bird. Although, Staraptor does die to its own recoil. What an idiot. Next we bring out Tauros, as Larry brings in Oricorio. An Air Slash falls short of taking out our Raging Bull before a sun-boosted Flare Blitz destroys that bird. Sadly, we do die to our own recoil. Couldn't be helped, it was such a good play. Against Altaria, an Ice Spinner from Quaquaval wipes that Cloud Duck right out of the Beyblade arena. This leaves Larry with the most heinous strategy possible, stealing a fighting type from me. On top of that, Flamigo is so fast, quickly taking out Quaquaval, and we were in a rough spot. This terrestrialized pink chicken is so tough. Right now, we need a miracle. Enter Great Tusk. Tusk is just tanky enough to survive a Terra-boosted hit on 14 HP. This lets us hit a rapid spin, boosting our speed. So, on the next turn, we can hit a knockoff that just barely misses out on the kill. Great Tusk helplessly falls to a close combat before Heracross is utterly annihilated by a Brave Bird. On the plus side, Larry's Fighting Flamigo dies to its own recoil, meaning that we win by virtue of still having a Lucario. Wow, I truly feel like a winner. By finally getting our revenge on Larry, we'd overcome the toughest Elite Four matchup for Mr. Fister. While Hassel the Dragon Tamer still remained, fortunately, he isn't too tough when you sprinkle in a little bit of cheese. On Noivern, Quaquaval gets hit by an Air Slash, but avoids a flinch to hit an Aqua Step, raising our speed by one stage and letting us outspeed on the next turn, with an Ice Spinner getting the KO. Dragalge does tank a hit and takes out Quaquaval, but Annihilate gets the KO with Stomping Tantrum. This brings in Flapple, who is the key to our plan. Gallade can lower its attack with Charm twice, then go into Lucario and use our familiar substitute strategy. By pairing this with Bulk Up, we eventually maximize both our attack and defense. And from here, it was an absolute slaughter, with Lucario becoming a Dragon Tamer, taking out the rest of the mythical beasts like it was nothing. We had successfully fisted our way through the entire Elite Four, and now it was time to tackle Geeta and see if Mr. Fister could become the fighting champion of Paldea. Alright, Geeta, this should be a piece of cake. I wouldn't be so sure, Mr. Fister. Didn't you lose to Larry? Ugh, how does everyone know about that? Geeta leads with a Sparthra, one of her deadliest Pokemon, so I need to take it out as quickly as I can with Heracross. Annoyingly, a Sparthra outspeeds and sets up a Reflect, but with our loaded dice, we can guarantee that Pin Missile connects 4 times, removing half its HP. Illumina Crash on the following turn does huge damage, but not enough to stop Heracross from finishing the Psychic Chicken with one more Pin Missile. For some reason, Geeta sends out Go-Goat next, and our Hercules just immediately wipes it off the map with a 5-shot Pin Missile. And Geeta's big brain strats don't end there, as next she sends out King Gambit, who is basically allergic to fighting types. Thanks to a Sparthra's Reflect, it does manage to survive a hit, and our goated Bug sadly falls. However, this clears the way for Annihilate to come in and sap the rest of the Samurai's life with a Drain Punch. But our wild angry ape wasn't done yet, because our Ghost Fister can also crush Veluza with Rage Fist, as well as outlast the beefy Avalugg by spamming Drain Punch. That leaves Geeta with only her Glamora, who actually becomes less dangerous after terastallizing into a pure rock type. But it's still deadly, as Dazzling Gleam quickly takes out Annihilate, and a close combat from Hariyama still isn't enough to knock it out, causing our Super Sumo to also fall. Our team was crumbling, but thankfully, Mr. Fister is blessed with a Chad in his life as Howlucha swoops on in, hitting one last flying press for the KO. With that, Mr. Fister and his team of brawlers had become the champions of Paldea. But our quest wasn't done yet. Mr. Fister still had to find his way home. To do that, first we have to go through 2 huge battles, the first of which is against Nemona. Nemonia embarrassed us at the start of this adventure, so now it was time to set things right by returning the favor. And boy did we, because our powerful fighters went absolutely massive, laying the smackdown onto Nemona and her pathetic Pokemon. Now you'll never forget the name Mr. Fister. That's every battle taken care of, except one, the most important battle of Mr. Fister's time in Paldea, and one that could change the course of history. So, with the enemies we made along the way, we dove straight into Area 0. Oh god, a Great Tusk! Stay sharp, Mr. Fister, we can take them out. Hang on, you're not on my team, buddy. Eventually, we reach the bottom of the crater and are attacked by a second Koraidon. Hang on, this one looks like it can actually battle. Let me have this one instead. This is where we learn that the real Professor Sada died long ago, and that this one is an AI who wants to destroy their time machine. Wait, hang on, you can travel through time? We can't destroy that. I need it to finally get home. Wait, no, hang on, you're meant to stop me. Sorry, Sada, I can't let you destroy that time machine. I'll stop you from destroying it right here and now, then seize the machine for myself. This wouldn't be easy though, since Sada's team is stacked with powerful Pokemon, some of which are hard counters to the fighting type. But if Mr. Fister needs to get home, then by God, we need to find a way to win. Sada opens with the based fighting bug, Slitherwing, as we lead with Howlucha. I expected a Zen Headbutt, so Heracross is holding a Payappa Berry as I go for Swords Dance. However, Slitherwing just goes for a low sweep, which isn't very effective, meaning that on the next turn, we can take the early lead proceed with an acrobatics. Next is Screamtail, and because we're still holding that berry, acrobatics doesn't even do half. This unfortunately means that our Giga Chad Howlucha gets taken out from a second play rough. So, I try a new strategy, going into Quaquaval, who now knows the move Feather Dance. This can safely nerf Screamtail's attack into the mud before our duck goes down, evening the score. This lets us bring in Gallade before hitting the monstrous Jigglypuff for some more chip damage with Psycho Cut. With Screamtail at -6 attack, this clears the way for our ever-reliable Lucario. From here, I was expecting to sweep with Lucario's familiar substitute strategy after setting up with Bulk Up. This started well, with Meteor Mash crushing Screamtail before a close combat wipes out Brute Bonnet. However, it's here that we run into a problem, because Sandy Shocks outspeeds us, and an Earth Power cleanly breaks the substitute before we can crush it with another close combat. This is terrible for us, because this clears the way for Fluttermane to come on in, a deadly fast Paradox Pokemon that can clean up our team. A Mystical Fire destroys Lucario, and now our final 3 Pokemon had their backs against the wall. Gallade is low, and Great Tusk has awful special defense, so we have to put our faith in the monkey. Fluttermane charges up a monstrous Shadow Ball, and we survive! Our monkey holds the line! A Rage Fist on the following turn wipes out the menace, leaving Sada with just her ace Roaring Moon. Sadly, a single Dragon Claw takes out our Annihilate, but by God, it did a damn good job. But now it was time to shine for our Paradox Beast, Great Tusk. A Dragon Claw doesn't even do half, as we hit a Rapid Spin for the quick speed boost. This lets us outspeed Roaring Moon on the next turn, and one last close combat is all we need to finally slay that dragon. With that, we had defeated Sada, and Mr. Fister could finally return home. Wait, no, Sada, what are you doing? Oh God, no, the time machine. She's taking it with her. No! Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content, and like the video to show your support for Mr. Fister. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.